The twin moons of Virelen hung high in the sky, casting pale silver light over the scorched plains below. Commander Jace Rylen stood at attention, his pulse rifle slung over his shoulder, his polished black armor catching the glint of moonlight. He tried not to look up at the towering spire rising above the command post, the Queen's citadel. Not because it wasn't beautiful. It was. But because inside that citadel lived the woman he'd once loved. No, loved still. Her name was Serai. Once, long ago, she'd been the girl who lived on the farm across from his in the dusty village of Wren's Hollow. Back when neither of them had known words like empire or galactic war. Back when love had been quiet glances under starlight and shared dreams by the riverbank. But the stars had taken them both. And while Jace had become a soldier, Serai had become a queen. 12 years ago. They'd sat on the ridge outside the village, their legs swinging over the edge as they watched a transport shuttle break through the clouds. The recruiters were coming. I won't join them, Jace had said stubbornly. Serai gave him a sidelong glance. They protect us. They take us. Train us. Change us. He clenched his jaw. I want to stay here. With you. She didn't answer at first. Then she whispered, "What if I don't stay?" That had felt like a blow. What do you mean? Serai plucked a long stem of grass and twirled it. I want to see the stars, Jace. I want to matter. Not just live and die on a dirt farm. You matter to me. She smiled sadly. But that won't be enough. Present day, the citadel. Jace stood in the throne room, the sound of his boots echoing off the high arched ceilings. Gold-veined black marble, crystal-laced columns, and banners bearing the crest of House Valmara, Serai's house now, adorned the chamber. He kept his eyes forward as the heavy doors opened. And then she entered. Queen Serai Valmara of the unified Galactic Corps walked with the grace of royalty and the command of a storm. She wore a flowing obsidian gown with armored pauldrons of starlight steel. A circlet rested on her brow, her hair woven with threads of silver. But her eyes were still the same. Commander Rylen, she said, her voice like silk wrapped in steel. He bowed. Your Majesty. Rise, she said. It's been a long time, Jace. He obeyed, eyes finally meeting hers. Yes, it has. They stood in silence. He felt the weight of 1,000 unspoken words pressing down on him. You've done well, she said at last. I've read your record. Valor in 3 campaigns. Led the evacuation of Thelos. You were wounded on Carthos Prime. He touched the faint scar along his jaw. It was nothing. You almost died. You moved on to better things. Her jaw tightened. Is that what you think? He shrugged. You're a queen. I'm a soldier. That says enough, doesn't it? 8 years ago, Imperial Academy. The last time he saw her as anything but a queen, she'd stood at the gates of the Imperial Academy, clad in the grey and silver robes of a Star Heir initiate. I didn't think you'd really go, he had whispered. I told you I would. She had looked both proud and frightened. He reached out and took her hand. Just don't forget me, Serai. She had squeezed his fingers. I won't. But she had. Or at least, that's what he told himself as the years passed and her name began to appear in broadcasts, not as a scholar, but as a rising political force, then a war leader, and finally, a queen. Back in the present. You called me here for a reason, Jace said. What mission do you need from me? I'm sending you to the edge of the outer reaches. A rebel faction has begun attacking our mining stations. You'll lead a strike team to dismantle their leadership. He nodded. Understood. She hesitated. Jace, I didn't bring you here just for that. He looked at her, his voice harder than he intended. Then why? To remind me what I lost. Her expression faltered. I never meant to lose you. But you did. I was forced to marry into House Valmara to end the Second Corps War. I never wanted the crown. I wanted change. I wanted to build something better. You did, he said. You became something more. I'm just glad one of us made it. She stepped forward, and for a moment, all the formality slipped from her face. You think I forgot you? I asked for you by name, Jace. I watched your career. Every report. Every scar. I never stopped loving you. His breath caught. He had imagined these words in dreams, cursed himself with them in the trenches. But now, hearing them from her lips, it almost hurt more. I'm just a soldier, he said softly. And you're the queen. She reached out, brushing his hand lightly. Then stay. Be more. The outer reaches. 3 weeks later. The mission was a bloodbath. The rebels had anticipated the strike. Jace's team was ambushed, and only a handful made it out alive. Jace himself was badly injured, his chest pierced by shrapnel, his pulse faltering. He lay in the ruins of an old comms tower, the alien sky above him a blur. He thought of her. Her eyes. Her voice. The soft way she had touched his hand. Maybe this was where it ended. He'd die a soldier. Uncrowned. Unloved. But the next thing he heard was shouting. Then boots. Then the hiss of a landing craft. And her voice. Jace. Hold on. Serai knelt beside him in her battle armor, removing her helmet. You idiot, she whispered, tears sliding down her cheeks. You weren't supposed to die on me. Wasn't planning to, he croaked. Didn't know you'd come. I'll always come. She cradled his head as the medics worked. You once said I mattered to you. That it would be enough. He managed a weak smile. Still true. 3 months later, the Garden of Stars. Jace stood in the Queen's private garden, surrounded by violet-touched flora and crystal fountains. He wore the formal blue of the Crown's Guard, his medals polished, his scars healing. She entered without guards. No crown. Just Serai. You never saluted me, she teased. I'm off duty. You're always my soldier. And you'll always be my queen. They stood close, their hands brushing. I never stopped loving you either, he said. But now I don't want to love a memory. I want to love you. Here. Now. Serai smiled. Then stay with me. Not as a soldier. As my equal. My partner. Jace took her hand. I loved you when we were young. But now. I know what it means to fight for love. To earn it. She leaned forward and whispered, then love me now, not in silence. He kissed her. Under the alien stars, beside the fountain that sang softly into the night, Jace Rylen finally stopped being just a soldier. And Serai, Queen of the Stars, was finally just a woman in love.